They came from different times and ended up in a cabin that would not let anyone leave. The film opens by showing a teenage girl named Jody going to a convenience store with her boyfriend, Kevin. Instead of shopping, they plan to rob the store and point a gun at the cashier on duty, a man named Lucas. After Kevin takes the money from the register and returns to the car, Jody, who is still inside the store, threatens to shoot Lucas if he does not immediately open the safe behind him. However, Lucas does not look frightened at all and calmly tells Jody that she probably will not like what is inside. Strangely, Lucas even says that Jody does not care about the decisions she has made in her life. Without hesitation, Jody shoots Lucas.
Register now! Everything!
Just shut the fuck up!
All the things you could have done in life.
Throw out the safe.
I don't think you'll like what's inside.
I said open it. Come on!
The story then shifts to Samantha, usually called Sam, who is stranded alone in the middle of a remote forest. Earlier, Sam was on her way to her in-laws' house with her husband Adam, but their car broke down after running out of gas. Adam decided to walk to the nearest gas station, while Sam stayed behind in the car. 24 hours pass, yet Adam does not return, and a worried Sam finally decides to search for her husband by herself. She walks deeper into the forest until she finds an abandoned cabin. Inside the cabin are an old radio, a table, chairs, a bed, and a bag containing a plastic pack of peanuts. Without thinking twice, Sam, who is starving, eats them. Suddenly, a man named Tom enters the cabin, and Sam immediately hides under the bed. After taking his bag, Tom leaves the cabin. When he seems to have gone far enough, Sam crawls out and runs away, but she trips and injures her leg.
I have a first aid kit inside.
Tom soon returns and treats Sam's wound. After her injury is taken care of, Sam explains that her car broke down and her husband went to look for a gas station. Strangely, Tom also claims that his car was damaged in an accident and that he has been trapped in the forest for 3 days because he has no phone to call for help. He says the cabin does not belong to him and that he has tried to turn on the old radio inside, but it does not work. Feeling uneasy about his explanation, Sam becomes frightened and wants to leave to search for Adam. However, Tom warns her that the temperature at night can drop to -5 degrees Celsius, which could kill anyone without warm clothing. On top of that, Sam has not eaten since the previous day, and the forest is extremely vast. Hearing this, Sam grows even more worried about her husband's safety. To calm herself, she reluctantly smokes a cigarette. Tom then borrows her lighter to start a fire by burning a newspaper dated November 21st, 2011. After that, Tom asks Sam to show him her car so he can check the problem, and it turns out the car truly has run out of gas.
I'm gonna stay here for a little while.
I'll stay with you. Well, you weren't kidding when you said your car ran out of gas.
Tom then places a piece of wood on a tree as a marker to show that they have been there before. As the sky begins to grow dark, he suggests that Sam stay overnight in the cabin and leave a note on her car in case Adam returns. Fortunately, Sam has plenty of blankets in her car that they can use to keep warm in the cold weather.
It'll be getting dark soon.
Inside the cabin, Tom gives Sam some drinking water that he claims to have taken from a small stream nearby, but strangely, he cannot find the stream when he goes back to look for it again. Tom plans to transfer fuel from his own car to Sam's car and then go look for help while also searching for Adam. Sam then reveals that she is actually pregnant, which is why Adam insisted that she stay in the car earlier, and now she smokes only to ease her anxiety, even though her husband always forbids her from doing so.
There you go.
Thank you.
I tried to find the creek again, but couldn't find it.
I'm pregnant.
You're smoking.
I know. So we have 1 tank of gas.
Tonight you can have the bed. I'll sleep on the floor.
As night falls, Tom decides to sleep on the floor and tells Sam to sleep on the bed. While sleeping, Sam begins to have a strange dream in which she is alone in her house, panicking while trying to contact someone. The next morning, when Sam wakes up, she sees that Tom has already gone to his car to get fuel. Suddenly, Sam discovers the girl from the opening scene, Jody, lying unconscious in front of the cabin. After bringing Jody inside, Sam finds a box containing a small music-playing toy hidden behind the radio. Because the wind outside is extremely strong, the door keeps slamming shut, and when Jody wakes up, she is startled to see Sam. Shortly after, Jody rushes out of the cabin to look for her boyfriend, Kevin. Suddenly, the sound of a gunshot echoes from deep within the forest, startling Tom and causing him to fall and spill the gasoline he is carrying.
Where are you going? Away from here.
Is anybody out there?
Moments later, another shot is heard. Tom calls out, asking who is firing the gun, but there is no response. Hearing Tom shouting and becoming frightened because he cannot find anyone outside, Jody retreats back into the cabin. While smoking, Jody says that their situation feels similar to the movie Deliverance, where the characters must survive in the wilderness while facing hostile locals. Sam has never heard of the movie and instead becomes curious about Jody's lighter, even though it is just an ordinary one. Outside, Tom briefly hears the sound of an airplane passing overhead, but he cannot see anything in the sky. Shortly after, Tom returns to the cabin and gives Sam a pair of boots to help keep her feet warm, then asks who Jody really is. Instead of answering, Jody tells Tom to explain who he is first. Tom then explains that he is stuck in the forest because his car was damaged in an accident and he has no phone to call for help. Sam's situation is similar, as her car ran out of gas and she was forced to take shelter in the cabin because her husband, Adam, has not returned from looking for a gas station. Feeling that everything is unclear and unsettling, Jody wants to leave, but she changes her mind after Tom warns her that the temperature drops dangerously low at night. Tom then asks Jody to explain what happened to her before she arrived there. Jody tells them that she is from Detroit and, without mentioning the robbery, says that after the incident at the store earlier, her boyfriend Kevin left her on the road after they got into an argument. Strangely, she suddenly found herself in front of the cabin and cannot remember how she got there. With no other choice, Jody ends up staying the night in the cabin. Tom then forces Jody to hand over her lighter. After that, he reinforces the door with wooden planks to keep it shut more tightly and make the cabin warmer.
No bathroom, no phone. I'm out of here.
You can stay here tonight, but you're gonna have to start pitching in.
Jody begins to suspect that Tom might be a murderer who is lying about his accident in order to trap her and Sam. Hearing this accusation, Tom becomes angry and insists that he is not a criminal and has no bad intentions, saying that the only thing on his mind right now is survival. Later that night, Jody dreams that she is in a hospital. The next morning, she tries to walk out through the back of the cabin to look for help, but her dream leaves her frightened and she hears another gunshot. She quickly returns to the cabin and talks with Sam, who explains that she was on her way to her in-laws' house with her husband Adam to tell them about her pregnancy, which she found out about a week earlier, and that her baby is expected to be born in early November. Jody then mentions that her birthday is also in November, specifically on the 11th. Eventually, both of them feel that something is wrong, because Jody is certain that they are currently in the state of Wisconsin, while Sam clearly remembers that she was already quite close to her in-laws' home in Concord, New Hampshire. The problem is that the two locations are extremely far apart, roughly 1,800 kilometers away from each other.
We were on our way to my husband's parents' house,
Where do the parents live?
just outside of Concord, New Hampshire.
What are you doing in Wisconsin?
Excuse me? We're about 2 hours from Concord, New Hampshire.
Meanwhile, Tom continues exploring the forest, finds a bullet on the ground, and keeps marking trees to track how far he has walked, yet somehow he ends up back at the cabin again.
I think I'm going crazy.
Tom is convinced that he has been walking straight the entire time, but inexplicably returns to the same place. If Jody believes this is Wisconsin and Sam believes the forest is in New Hampshire, Tom recalls that his car accident happened in South Dakota. All of them grow increasingly confused about what is really happening. On top of that, Sam becomes more worried about Adam's fate out in the forest.
She said we're not in New Hampshire.
We're nowhere near New Hampshire. I never said anything about Wisconsin.
Well,
Where do you think we are, Tom?
South Dakota.
Fuck South Dakota, fuck New Hampshire, and fuck you!
This time, Tom is the one who has a nightmare, and his dream is related to a gun. Even though they still do not understand what is going on, Tom believes that if they stay in the cabin any longer, they will eventually die as their food and water supplies continue to run out. Because of that, Tom, Sam, and Jody decide to set out together to look for help by taking a path behind the cabin that they have never used before. Meanwhile, Sam begins to recall the nightmare she had a few days earlier. Not long after that, Jody trips when her foot catches on a door handle lying on the ground, and a thick wad of cash falls out of her pocket, making Tom wonder where Jody got so much money, but Jody ignores him. Tom then breaks open a locked door with an axe, revealing that the place is actually an underground bunker. Inside, there is a map that Sam believes is about 20 years old, while Jody guesses it is closer to 50 years old. There are also canned food and drinks, as well as bottles of wine produced sometime between 1925 and the 1930s, all labeled in German. Sam understands a bit of German because her mother taught her, while her late father, who was German, was killed in the war before Sam was born. Hearing this, Jody admits that her own father was also a victim of war.
This is German. Same as the maps. My father, he died during the war.
My dad died in the war too.
After packing the food and drinks into their bags, Tom, Jody, and Sam return to the surface, only to be shocked when they see the same cabin standing not far from where they are, even though they were sure they had been walking straight and had already gone quite a distance away from it. The three of them eventually return to the cabin, and Tom suggests that the next day they should split up and head in different directions. Clearly, this plan is far more dangerous because they would have to walk alone, but Tom says he is willing to risk his life since he has no one waiting for him in the outside world, having grown up in a South Dakota orphanage and lost his mother to execution.
Tomorrow we're gonna have to split up because I was raised in an orphanage in South Dakota.
Later, while Tom is outside relieving himself, Sam asks to see Jody's cash out of curiosity. Jody then explains that the money actually comes from robberies she committed with her boyfriend Kevin, and that it was not the first time they had done it. She also says she comes from a poor family, which is why she never went to school and often stole or robbed just to survive. However, Sam thinks Jody is only joking because the bills are dated 1984 and innocently remarks that the United States Department of the Treasury would never print money from the future. Hearing this, Jody is shocked and asks Sam which war killed her father and what year it supposedly happened. Sam answers that her father died in the Second World War and that, according to her, the current year is 1962, while Jody insists that it is 1984, as written on the money she stole.
Can I see it?
The money.
I've never heard of the Treasury printing money from the future. It says it was printed in 1984.
What war did your father die in? What year do you think it is?
World War II, of course.
1962. What year do you think it is?
When Tom returns, they immediately ask him what year it is, and Tom replies that it is 2011. Sam and Jody are instantly horrified, realizing that the three of them come from completely different times, Tom from 2011, Jody from 1984, and Sam from 1962. Not long after that, another gunshot is heard outside. Tom peers through the window and sees a man holding a rifle, whom they refer to as Daniel. To protect themselves, Tom grabs an axe and they call out for help, but Daniel speaks only German. He does not understand English and keeps approaching while aiming his rifle at them. Because she knows a little German, Sam tells him that the three of them are unarmed, but Daniel suddenly strikes Tom, knocking him unconscious. Tom later wakes up to find his hands and feet tied, just like Sam and Jody, who are bound to chairs. Based on the year written on the wine bottles and the old radio in the cabin, which is 1939, it becomes clear that they are now in Daniel's era, the time of the Second World War, and that the underground room they discovered in the forest is actually a bomb shelter. Shocked, Sam asks whether Tom brought her and Jody into the past using some kind of time machine, but Tom explains that technology in 2011 is nowhere near that advanced. Sam is then stunned to learn about major events that have already happened in the future, such as the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963 and the death of Elvis Presley in 1977.
Do you have time travel in 2011?
You know everything's gonna happen.
Do I? I know 2011 sounds like a long way off.
Not long after, Daniel returns to the cabin, unties Tom's legs, and forces him outside at gunpoint. When an opportunity arises, Tom manages to free his hands and attempts to escape, but Daniel chases him through the forest with his rifle until Tom is cornered, captured again, and tied to a tree.
Sam! Can you hear me?
Daniel then goes back to the cabin and demands to know what the three of them are really doing there. He is suddenly shocked when he sees Jody's locket and immediately snatches it away because he has an identical one himself, once again threatening Sam and Jody with his weapon. Jody explains that the locket belonged to her grandmother, and strangely, Sam reveals that she also has the same locket, which she received from her mother. Daniel then brings Sam and Jody to Tom to ask whether he also has the same locket. But it turns out that Tom has already freed his hands, and when he gets the chance, he strikes Daniel, knocking him unconscious and tying him up inside the cabin.
Hey!
It's my mother. You need to tell him right now before he does something terrible.
Fuck if he understands or not.
They search his jacket and find his identification, revealing that Daniel's real name is Hans Neumann. Sam is shocked by the name and says that the woman in the locket is her mother, and that the name of her biological father who died in the Second World War was Hans Neumann. Jody then admits that the photo inside the locket is of her grandmother, and that she was born on November 11th, 1962. She also says that her last name is Cohen, the same last name as Adam, Sam's husband. Since childhood, Jody was raised by Adam's family because her mother, Sam, died after giving birth to her. Hearing this, Sam can only cry before walking out of the cabin. Tom then explains that he actually also has the same locket, but did not bring it with him. He goes on to reveal that his mother, Jody, was executed for 2 criminal acts. The first was for killing Tom's biological father, who was also Jody's boyfriend, Kevin. The second was for robbing a store and a gas station and shooting Lucas to death. Tom further explains that he was born in a women's prison in South Dakota on December 12, 1985, 8 months before his mother was executed. He is deeply disappointed because after his mother's death, she left behind nothing but a box filled with drugs and a locket identical to those belonging to Hans, Sam, and Jody. Faced with this shocking truth, Jody can only stand in silence and cry, realizing that her future is about to collapse. It can now be concluded that Jody is Tom's biological mother, Sam is Jody's biological mother, and Hans is Sam's biological father, meaning that the 4 of them are connected as a family across generations. Jody then goes outside to meet Sam and tells her that her father, Adam, died in the Vietnam War. Adam's family deeply despised Jody and often abused her, leaving a lasting injury on her right elbow. Sam then shares the story of her own mother, Jody's grandmother, who died in a car accident along with her new husband. The accident happened not long after Sam's biological father, Hans, was killed in the Second World War.
You said your mother died in childbirth. Your father? He was killed in Vietnam. Your grandmother? They were killed in a car accident a few years ago.
Sam later returns to the cabin, wanting to explain everything to Hans privately. She removes Hans's restraints, which leads to an argument with Tom, but Sam defends Hans, insisting that no matter what, Hans is her biological father, and they must trust each other. Still confused, Hans takes his pistol and rifle and leaves the cabin. After that, Sam remembers her nightmare and realizes that it foretold her death during childbirth. At that time, Adam was fighting in the Vietnam War. She had no one by her side, and the ambulance arrived too late at her home. Tom then explains his own nightmare, in which he shoots a pastor and later ends his own life by firing a gun directly into his head. Jody also dreamed of being executed for killing her boyfriend Kevin and for her other criminal acts. In this way, each of them has dreamed about how they will die in the future. According to Tom, they were all brought together in the cabin in the middle of the forest to be given a second chance to fix their lives by changing the past, specifically by preventing Hans's death in the Second World War. The 3 of them immediately head to the bomb bunker and examine the map there. Based on what Sam knows, Hans died because of an airstrike after losing contact with his unit, which matches the current situation. Since the radio in the cabin is broken, Hans cannot contact his headquarters, and this day is likely the day of his death. Tom then explains his reasoning. If Hans survives, his wife will stay with him and will not seek a new husband, so when Sam is left behind while her husband goes to war, her mother will be there to take her to the hospital in time during childbirth. As a result, Sam will survive after giving birth to Jody, Jody will grow up to be a good woman, and Tom will also have a brighter future because he would be raised by Jody, who would no longer be a criminal. Although all of this is only Tom's prediction, proof soon appears when the wound on Jody's elbow disappears. This means that Jody's future has already begun to change because Hans now understands part of the truth.
He was killed when he lost contact with his unit.
If he lives, your mother will never remarry. Maybe she's with you while Adam's over. You don't die during childbirth.
You're scarred.
The 3 of them return to the cabin, where Hans finally manages to turn on the radio and prepares to continue his mission according to his superior's orders. However, a terrifying announcement comes through the radio, stating that headquarters will soon bomb the area because Hans is considered to have failed his mission. Outside, Hans points his rifle at the three of them while Sam desperately tries to warn him that if he does not take shelter in the underground bunker immediately, he will be killed by the bombing and destroy the future of 3 generations. When Hans ignores their warnings, Tom tries to force him to hide in the bunker. As Jody attempts to help Tom, she is accidentally shot by the weapon Hans is carrying. If Jody dies, Tom will disappear because it would mean he was never born in the first place. Therefore, the only way to fix everything is to save Hans. Tom chases Hans deeper into the forest, and the two end up fighting each other, a brutal struggle between a great-grandfather and his great-grandson. Even so, Hans easily overpowers Tom and manages to escape. However, the forest seems to twist and loop endlessly, where moving left leads back from the right, and going forward brings someone back from behind, and the same happens in reverse. Tom takes advantage of this strange phenomenon by running in the opposite direction, eventually encountering Hans again and ambushing him. But just before Tom can be shot, Jody dies, causing Tom to suddenly vanish from existence. Devastated, Sam forces Hans to run to the underground bunker, repeatedly snapping him out of his confusion as the airstrike begins. Sam begs Hans to save himself, not only for his own sake, but for the sake of the future of all his descendants. Hans finally runs with Sam toward the bunker, desperately dodging the falling bombs. Unfortunately, Sam is thrown aside and hits her head on a rock, knocking her unconscious. Hans immediately carries Sam into the bunker and takes shelter there. Not long after, Sam dies, and her body, along with Jody's, disappears, just like Tom's. The film then returns to the year 1984, back at the same store guarded by Lucas as in the opening scene. This time, Jody looks different, well-behaved and neatly dressed. Instead of pulling out a gun, she takes out money to pay for the items she is buying. Shortly after, Kevin arrives with his girlfriend, a different woman, since fate no longer follows the same path. The two of them rob the store, watched by Lucas, and it seems that the woman may suffer a fate similar to what Jody once faced.
Miss!
I feel so weird, like I've been here before.
Come on, safe.
The scene then shifts to Jody returning home from the store to her large and luxurious house. A newspaper is shown featuring news about Hans Neumann, a respected war veteran and well-known philanthropist who has just passed away. At that time, Jody does not have the locket because it is still worn by her biological mother, Sam, who is still alive and living with her. There are still 2 lingering questions that may remain in the viewer's mind. First, what happens to Tom? Will he ever be born from Jody and her future husband, considering that Jody is no longer involved with Kevin? Based on this, it is likely that Tom will never be born, because Jody would marry a different man and have a different child. Second, how were Hans, Sam, Jody, and Tom all able to gather in the same cabin in the first place? Did all of this happen because of Lucas and the mysterious safe, as if he were a divine figure capable of giving a second chance to someone whose life was destined to be deeply broken? Feel free to share your theories and thoughts in the comments below to discuss this film further. See you in the next film.